Buenos dias, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Jay Slater case, of course. It is Saturday, June 27th. So let's get rolling. Chosen background of the day, a certain Neha J. Patel, who it would appear is a Facebook friend of Lucy's mother, Becs Law. And I just posted, community post, this picture of Neha J. Patel and a picture of the better known Lena Patel in the Jay Slater case. And I just raised the question, are these Patels related? Do they know each other? Do they have a connection to Lucy and to Beck's law that predates what happened in Tenerife? Is there anything there at all? Now, I only wish their last name was something other than Patel, because I don't know which poor sap is going to be given the assignment of going through every Patel on Facebook that could be related to each other and have a connection with Beck's law and Lucy law. Just to go through the list of Neha Patels in the world. I mean, if ever you're suffering from insomnia, just pull up the list of Neha Patels and start flicking through, trying to find one that have a connection to the UK. It's a daunting task, but there we go. To be honest, I think there is a fair chance that Neha Patel, that worked in Lancashire, in the East Lancashire NHS authority, or in a certain medical capacity where Bexlaw got to know her. I'm assuming that's how they know each other, because Bexlaw is a works in maternity, is she not? In the maternity ward, or is a um, helper. What would I call those people that help a birth? She Bexlaw is someone that has worked for the NHS in Lancashire for a long time, and that I believe, as per the Facebook details, is where Neha Patel comes in. They know each other from there. Neha Patel, it seems, is now working in the USA in California. Now, I point all this out because there are similarities. I mean, we have Lena Patel that says she's from London, but she too moved to the USA, ended up in Pennsylvania. And it's always struck me as a little odd that in the Lena Patel story, she's this solo traveler that arrives in Tenerife, England fan, so she likes her football, and she just happens to come across Lucy. But how? Is Lena Patel a user? Is she a customer of Lucy's products? I don't know. Lucy's out there asking for help getting up to the area where Jay disappeared, and it's Lena Patel that pops up and says, I have a car, I can take you up there. Um, all of this, I mean, it's not outrageously odd at all, but Lena, I don't know. She's traveling solo. She's in Tenerife. She's got a car. What does she need a car for? What is she doing? She's traveling all around the island several times. I think she's been there before. But anyway, it's just a little odd to me that solo Lena raving it up with the younguns, because Lena Patel's in her 50s now, I believe, raving it up with the younguns. Yeah, she pops up and says to Lucy, "I can drive you up there," and yet it seems that Bexlaw, Lucy's mother, is also on Tenerife, but I guess not, because wouldn't it be more logical that instead of going on to Facebook groups and Lucy saying, "Oh, help me, can someone help me get up to see Jay and find Jay," that Bexlaw, her mother, isn't there to say, "I'll do it." And yet it seems Bexlaw gets very, very involved very quickly. We had the Happy Hiker saga, where a hiking group manages to secure Bexlaw, and Debbie Duncan signed up on the day that Debbie arrives in Tenerife. So, yeah, Bexlaw is wading into the Jay Slater search. I had rather assumed that Bexlaw was on Tenerife at the time, but maybe not. Maybe it's just Lucy, and Lucy teams up with Lena Patel, who has nothing to do with Neha Patel, that does know Bexlaw. It's typical of the Jay Slater case. You have all these connections that really aren't connections, but they might be. And in the world of leave no stone unturned, you have to say, is there a Patel connection? Maybe, maybe not. But what tells me that there could well be a connection is the fact that Lena Patel has been silent. And there's no reason to be silent at all. If someone, anyone, were to ask you, well, you drove Lucy up there and you met Ayub and you were there, I mean, on the day that Jay disappeared, would you say something about that? Would you confirm certain things? Would you deny certain things? Would you take us through step by step exactly what happened from your perspective, Lena? Lena's been asked this. Wax has been in touch. I've been in touch. 99% sure we got the right person. The email hasn't bounced back. I mean, online, found exactly where Lena works. No response, no response, refusal to talk. Now, that tells me she's got something to hide. Maybe I'm the only one in the world. If someone said, "Would you like to give us, your perspective?" I say, "Yeah, yeah, please, let me speak. If this helps the family, if this helps anyone, if this helps solve, a few important problems out there, let me tell you what I know." Am I the only one that would do that? In the Jay Slater case, I would be. By the way, everyone else involved has pretty much refused to do that, refused to do it, or they've grudgingly done it. Now, I was thinking, slight change of subject. I was thinking about Philly from Phil, that I said in my last video, after several months missing in action, well, for a good reason. Poor Philly from Phil had medical issues, was in a coma, then went doing rehab and all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. I did think I would try to fill in Phil, if you like, in the sense of let him know what's been going on in the last 6 months. And I just started, and I just thought, there's so much here. I don't think I can actually do it. Or again, it would take weeks, months to actually succinctly try to put together, Phil, this is what's happened in the last 6 months. So, Phil, I might as well just tell you in this way through a video. One of the most astounding things that happened in the last 6 months was just a few weeks ago, Ivor Lovelace, Sluggy, El Slugtardo, for the first time, explained to the world why it was that Lucy never, ever went to Jay's last known location to try to find him. Don't ask me, Phil, why El Slugtardo took 2 years to do this. That's a question in itself. But El Slugtardo came forward and said it's because the Guardia Civil lied to Lucy. This is it, Phil. Guardia Civil, we are told by Sluggy, who was told by Lucy, told Lucy that they were sending helicopters out on that Monday when Jay had gone missing, and that they were taking care of everything. And even though Lucy had called them 6, 7 times and ended up calling them a total of 10 times, that Lucy must sit tight, sit tight. Do not look for him. Don't look for him. Don't look for Jay. You stay where you are. We'll deal with this. And El Slugtardo told us, Phil, that was all a lie. That was all a lie. That Lucy would have gone to look for Jay. Brad would have would have gone to look for Jay, and Brandon would have gone to look for Jay if only the Guardia Civil had told the truth and said, "Go ahead and go look for him." But they didn't. And Slugtardo took 2 years to tell us this. But at the end of the day, we learned that the Guardia Civil lied to the friends of Jay. They lied to everyone. They said they'd send helicopters out and handle it. They didn't. And that's why Lucy didn't go up. So that's one key thing that we have found out recently that has been an absolute earthshaker. Now, it is curious to ask why Sluggy didn't tell this from day one, because presumably Sluggy has known this from day one. What was the reason that Sluggy refused to tell us the truth, finally? If it is the truth. Hands up everyone that says that El Slugtardo is now telling the truth. Not so many hands go up. Yeah, I can see that. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that El Slugtardo has come forward with the truth that he decided to hide for 2 years. Why? Why hide that? You've got poor Debbie Duncan wringing her hands on a TV interview saying, I just wish Lucy had gone up there to find him. And as Debbie Duncan is saying those words, El Slugtardo in his basement in Fishguard has a Joker-style massive grin on his face, thinking, well, Debbie, if only you knew the truth, because I know the truth. Lucy didn't go up there because she was told not to by the Guardia Civil. I mean, we have never heard Debbie say that. In her recent interview with the Mirror, Debbie, when asked, do you still have any questions about the issue? Debbie never said, yeah, I just wonder why Ivor Lovelace didn't tell the world exactly why Lucy and the friends didn't go and save Jay months and months and months ago, or right after Jay disappeared. No, it was almost as if Debbie didn't know El Slugtardo had told the world that Lucy didn't go up there because she was instructed not to go. It is a strange one, but there we go. My only conclusion is El Slugtardo, Ivor Lovelace, just loves to get people in such a wretched frame of mind, to keep them ignorant of the facts, so that he, rather like Debbie Duncan, can have a smirk on his face saying, I know the truth, and you don't. But to his credit, after 2 years of stalling, creating great angst in Debbie's heart, sending her towards a nervous breakdown, no doubt, by concealing such information and reveling in it, eventually El Slugtardo did step forward and give us the truth. But Phil, in a nutshell, is one of the big things that happened in the last few months. I digress. I did say today I was going to have a pre-Sunday roast, maybe a warm-up or a barbecue or an aperitif. So let's give Luggy and a few others a bit of a roasting here. On the subject of Jay's Law, oh my God, who's going to take time to explain to poor Phil and others that have been away for the last few months what Jay's Law was all about? Not me, I'm out of that. Someone else is going to have to explain the failure of Jay's Law. But on that subject, a Luggy quote from one of his recent posts. Bye-bye, Keir Starmer. This is Luggy saying, bye-bye, Keir Starmer. You answered to the core question. Hello, new PM. Who will act on it? So let me rephrase this to what I think El Slugtardo, professor at Pisspot University, is trying to say. Bye-bye, Keir Starmer. You answered the core question. I don't think you answered to the core question. You answer to people, don't you? But do you answer to the core question? No, you answered the core question. Did he? Let's stop there. Keir Starmer answered the core question. Did he, Luggy? Okay, this is what I saw as the government's official answer to the J. Slater petition, both in its original form and in its revised answer. It said quite clearly, read it again, word for word, all of you Access and Group members that think that Jay's Law is alive and well. The government's answer, headed by Keir Starmer, was Ofsted, complaints to Ofsted, and the online safety bill already protect grieving families, as they do everyone else in the country, from such online attacks. It's already covered in legislation. That was both the government's response, Luggy, and the revised government's response. So when you say, Keir Starmer, you answered the core question, yes, we agree on that. We agree on that, Sluggy. And the answer is bugger off. Jay's Law ain't going anywhere. What you're proposing is already out there. And then Luggy says, hello, new PM. Who will act on it? I think you'll find the new Prime Minister, most likely to be Andy Burnham, won't have anything like Jay's Law on his mind whatsoever. In fact, one of the things that Andy Burnham might be fighting from day one, assuming he becomes the new Prime Minister, without any kind of mandate from the masses, by the way, one of the things he'll be facing is an absolute backlash to the 16-year-olds, under 16s, now not being allowed access to social media. So I think we need to see, and I think Andy Burnham might be wise enough to, first of all, see how this goes. If there is, as I expect, a massive backlash, then I don't see Andy Burnham or anyone else trying to go down the path any further of further restricting speech, not just from the 16-year-olds and under, but from the whole UK population regarding online posts and online um, speech, etc., etc. So Luggy's whole "Hello New PM," who will act on it, I think that is highly unlikely. Again, El Slugtardo has no concept of how politics works. He really has none at all. But his job now, having put out so much propaganda for Jay's Law and seen it fail ignominiously, his new job is to pretend that there's some kind of success out there. There isn't. But it's fascinating to see Sluggy slither and crawl in agony as it's abundantly clear Jay's Law is dead. And it is dead. Regarding myself, I believe this is myself. Luggy said this is about my trip to Tenerife. Oh my God. Phil might not have known that I went to Tenerife. Or was that before? I can't remember. Phil. I went to Tenerife. And anyway, regarding my trip to Tenerife, I had to walk to his tent. No, Luggy, I didn't have to walk to my tent. I chose to walk to my tent. Big difference. He says, not even got a car or ability to hire one abroad or the cash G flow. I know what cash G flow is. This G connected with cash and money seems to be a gangland thing, but it is curious that Luggy wrote cash G flow. Takes us back to, yeah, kiss goodbye to your boy. He owes us enough effing G money. So anyway, I mean, it might be a coincidence. Luggy using cash G flow and whoever wrote that to Debbie Duncan, enough effing G money. Interesting. Not even got a car. Correct. Got that one right, Sluggy. I do not have a car. I feel liberated in the sense that I don't have the responsibilities of keeping a car. Or ability to hire one. I do have the ability to hire one, and I do on occasions. That is something that I am more than happy to do. I even, way back when, Luggy showed a driver's license to the world. So I do have the ability to hire one. Or the cash G flow. Yeah, cash G flow to hire a car. I do have that. But if, Sluggy, you want to live in your make-believe world that I am so restricted by all these things and I'm a bus wanker, that's fine. I don't mind. But I think it is. My point here, Sluggy, is if you're prepared to make up things about me that are not true, to what extent would you make up things about Jay that's not true? Because the pattern I see here, Sluggy, is that you are very willing to lie, fabricate, make up shite, and pretend it's real about quite minor things, about a small time content creator that puts out a video every day on the Jay Slater case and other cases sometimes. You're prepared to make up stuff about me all the time. And it makes me think you would have no qualms about making up stuff, crazy stuff, lies, plenty, about what happened to Jay as well. Where's my logic astray there? And then you say, poor idiot was heard moaning about that too. TWO. You mean TOO. Poor idiot, if that's me, was heard moaning about that too. No, I don't think I was moaning about having to walk to my tent. I don't think I moaned. I said it was very steep and downhill and it was tiring. That's not moaning. It's just an observation of my route. That's all. No, there's no moaning there, Sluggy. So I got that wrong. Can you imagine? Sluggy got that wrong. I want to switch to the hiking side of things and the find that popped up the other day, thanks to another contributor, about Becs Law and Debbie Duncan joining this hiking group in Tenerife the very day that Debbie received that message about kiss goodbye to your boy, the day she landed in Tenerife. Now, about that, Gill Parkinson, who I would dearly love to do a Sunday roast on because I've got enough quotes from Gill to give her an absolute roasting. So at some point that should happen. But let's just take this one as a starting point. Gill Parkinson says they really are, they being the foul play group, I believe, they really are showing how stupid they are if they can't understand why someone would contact a hiking group when a person is missing in a hiking area. Not exactly rocket science, is it? A nice little bit of sarcasm from Gill Parkinson there. Not exactly rocket science, is it? Well, let's talk a bit about what isn't exactly rocket science, Gill Parkinson. First of all, when you say a person missing in a hiking area, the Barranco de Juan Lopez, Gill Parkinson, I can assure you, I've been down there. So's Chris. So's the Sydney team, apparently. So's Sluggy, apparently. Let me tell you, Jill, that ain't no hiking area. In fact, it's the opposite. It is a ravine that people are told, they're warned about, don't go down there because it is so bloody dangerous. It is not a hiking area. You're getting confused between the Masker Gorge, where they have organized hikes, and even then, it's not for everyone. In the Masker Gorge, it is 3 hours down, 3 hours back, and it's tough, and you're told it's tough. So it's hiking for the real hikers, the Masker Gorge, the Juan Lopez Gorge. I mean, you've seen it, Jill. They might as well have big flashing lights above it saying, do not hike down this area. It is not a hiking area. You have a path that ends in the middle of nowhere. There is no sane hiker that would say it's a good idea just to bash my way if I can to the coast. No one would do that, Jill. It is not a hiking area. So when you say a person missing in a hiking area, that ain't a hiking area. You may say that parts of the Teno National Park are hiking areas, but specifically where Jay is supposed to have gone is the last place you would ever go hiking, unless you were pretty darn good or you'd really set yourself up for it and you had some really good leadership, as in Cipriano Martin and his boys that said they did get down to the beach. It was a hell of a hard slog, down and back. And the other thing you say, Jill, and this one made me laugh. Yeah, when a person is missing in a hiking area, Jill, Jay was never missing. As soon as Jay's phone died, his friends, and therefore the whole world, had access to the screenshot and everyone knew exactly where Jay was. He wasn't missing. When Lucy, a few minutes later, called to report Jay missing, she lied. He wasn't missing. She had the screenshot. She had the name of the street that Jay's location was. It was all there. That, Gill Parkinson, is not the definition of a missing person. A missing person is someone that no one knows where they are. When Jay's phone cuts off, his friends know exactly where he is. And had Lucy shown that to anyone in the police force, they too would have known exactly where it is. He wasn't missing. What was missing, Gill Parkinson, was when time went on and no one could be bothered to go up to find Jay, then it became apparent that Jay was missing. But that is much, much later on. Now, what is your definition of missing person in this case? I would say, and I bet you the Guardia Civil said the same thing to Lucy, that if he said he was trying to walk back, make his way back, 11-hour journey, then after 11 hours, if he hasn't made it back to where he said he was going to go to, then we can start to treat this as a missing person case. But believe me, Jill Parkinson, when you say you are heading back, and we know you've asked about buses, and you're not there, I don't know, half an hour after your phone cuts off, you're not considered a missing person. Lest us forget, Jay was not 5 years old. Jay was not 8 years old. Jay was 19, wasn't he? Yeah. So 19 years old, he's just gone off the main road. His phone's dead. That's not a missing person, Jill Parkinson. So where I disagree with you is, yeah, they really are showing how stupid they are if they can't understand why someone would contact a hiking group when a person is missing in a hiking area. Not exactly rocket science, is it? Not exactly rocket science, is it, Jill Parkinson, that you can't figure out or you can't even contemplate what the definition of missing person is, and you don't even know what a hiking area is. You need to go there, Jill Parkinson. Have a look at it and tell me, oh, yeah, that's a hiking area. I'd love to hike down there. Seeing is believing, Jill. When we see the video of you hiking down there, then we'll say, okay, Jill's right. It is a hiking area. Luggy had something to say on the hiking. Luggy said, well, stands to reason why anybody with a missing child, there's the word missing again, Luggy. Luggy, Jay was never missing. Everyone knew where he was. Everyone knew exactly where he was. He was never missing. Why anybody with a missing child abroad would join groups that may be able to help, yeah, I would do the same. Would you, Luggy? Would you? Would you do the same? I thought, Luggy, that with your LiDAR maps, with your man on the ground that could get into the mind of Jay, I would have thought, Luggy, you had no need whatsoever to ever join a hiking group. Because I would have thought with your expertise, your experience, your knowledge, your savoir-faire, your geology, your geography expertise, I would have thought, Luggy, the last thing you need is some happy hiking group to tell you how to find anyone. So I think you're lying. Didn't you say, Luggy, yeah, I would do the same? You wouldn't. No, you wouldn't, Luggy. You would have sat in your basement in Fishguard with your LiDAR map, telling Chris, go left, go right, go straight ahead. Are you 500 meters away from the body? You made it. Well done. Let's call the Coast Guard. Work done. You would not have joined the happy hikers, Luggy. So stop lying. I would do the same, says Luggy. Shows DD is intelligent, unlike them numpties. Yeah, very, very intelligent to join a hiking group that can't help you in any way, shape, or form. Never could and never will. Now, I mentioned Kaz Alice came up with something. Did she comment on the hiking group? Yes, Kaz Alice had to chip in, of course. Kaz Alice, I would do the same. So, are the men and women over yonder going to say they wouldn't? Now, over yonder, I guess, is the foul play group. So I think Kaz Alice is saying, I would do the same, join a hiking group. Are the men and women in the foul play group going to say that they wouldn't join a hiking group? Yes, exactly, Kaz. I mean, I can't speak for everyone. I can speak for me. There's no way I would join any hiking group at all. The day I arrived in Tenerife and, my son is missing. Let's say my son is missing. I would not join a hiking group. What I would do, Kaz, is I would try to find out immediately what had happened to my boy. And I said, Kaz, there are two ways. Again, I'll go. It's so important, Kaz, for you to understand. You've got two choices here. Immediately, you either go the detective route and try to find what happened to Jay. Find out what happened to Jay, and when you find out step by step what happened to Jay, you'll find out where Jay is. Or you ignore the detective route and you just go searching for Jay, hoping to find him. Because if you do happen to find Jay, then all of the stuff that happened to him, all of the narco background, how he got that, all those substances in him, that can be forgotten, can't it, Kaz? That is why you lot are so focused on the search for Jay, because you don't want anything about what happened to Jay to ever come out. This is why it's all part of the cover up for the accident group. Only focus on the search for Jay. Join a hiking group. That will help. No, it won't. Go blundering around the wilderness with dogs. That will help. No, it won't. And it won't because there's no evidence Jay ever went there. So, Kaz, what would people like me do? We wouldn't join a hiking group. We would get Lucy, Brad, Brandon sat down opposite us and say, right, you three better start telling the truth. Who are these mystery men? How do you know them? What's going on here? Why did Jay go up there? Why didn't you go up there? Start telling the truth. That's the approach we would have taken, Kaz. And I can tell you, Kaz Alice, our approach would have got to what happened to Jay, something that's never happened because there's never been an investigation. Your approach, Kaz, of joining a bloody useless hiking group that haven't got a bloody clue what's down the Juan Lopez ravine or who Jay is or what happened, is the approach that aids the cover up. So there's no surprise, Kaz Alice, that you would have done everything possible to aid the cover up because that's what you want. You don't want anyone to know what happened to Jay. You only want to deflect from what happened to Jay. So no surprise you wouldn't have tried to find out what happened to Jay. But on that subject, Kaz, what is your objection to my approach? What is your objection to having, with Debbie, Warren, and Zach, one end of the table, Lucy, Brad, Brandon, Josh, the other side of the table, and the family saying, okay, let's go through step by step what the hell is going on here. What was Jay doing? How did he end up missing? Who do you know here that's involved? Let's thrash this out. What is wrong, Kaz Alice, Sluggy, Gill Parkinson, with the approach of finding out what happened to Jay? What don't you like about it? What is to object about it? Just tell us that. Well, we're prepared to wait for 2 years. It took Sluggy 2 years to explain that Lucy didn't go up there because she was told not to. Maybe it'll take you, Kaz Alice, to explain why the approach of finding out what happened to Jay is the wrong approach. And let's end with Sluggy. Can't get away from Sluggy's quote. Sluggy, she has no right to knock Debbie or Jay Slater's limited action with Tom Hilton. I don't know who the she is. That might be Claire Linstead. Lily says she has no right, or it might be Jan. She has no right to knock Debbie or Jay Slater's limited action with Tom Hilton. Yes. Everyone on this planet, Luggy, has the right, and this is where Jay's law has failed, so we still have the right, and we always will, Luggy. We do. All of us has the right to knock Debbie as much as we like about Jay's action with Tom Hilton, because Jay, let me tell you, Luggy, was found guilty. Guilty, guilty as sin, for violent disorder in a gang attack on Tom Hilton. And for that reason, Luggy, we and everyone else has every right to knock, whatever that means, knock Debbie about for Debbie refusing to come clean about that. That is one of my big beefs with Debbie Duncan. She is in denial. She keeps saying Jay wasn't involved, but he was. Luggy goes on. Jay took no part in that violent affair. Luggy, you weren't there. You don't know. End of. Debbie Duncan was not there. She doesn't know. End of. In that courtroom, Debbie Duncan and Sluggy and Kaz and the rest of you, there was Tom Hilton. Tom Hilton was there, obviously. In that courtroom, Debbie Duncan, Sluggy, Accident Group, were the other gang members. We don't have to go through their names. They were in that courtroom. They had given evidence too. They were there. By the time Tom Hilton got out of the woods and onto the road in Rishton, there were plenty of witnesses. There was one girl that had to jump on top of Tom Hilton's prostrate body to stop him being killed by Jay and Jay's friends. That girl and many others were witnesses to the last ensuing horrific violence. They were there too. So we have witnesses, we have Tom Hilton himself, we have the girl that saved his life, we have the gang members themselves. They were there, they were the witnesses, and there were others that saw what happened. There was a jury that listened to all of the arguments. There was a judge, Judge Parry, that had to decide what punishment would happen here. They were all found guilty. Just a reminder, Sluggy, you weren't there. Debbie Duncan wasn't there. So when you say, Sluggy, Jay took no part in that violent affair, the only reason you could possibly say that is because you happen to believe the word of Debbie Duncan. But Debbie wasn't there. Debbie will say anything, surprisingly, to defend Jay. Doesn't mean it's true. You go on, Sluggy. Debbie took Jay to the police to state he were in that area at the time. Let me correct the English. Debbie took Jay to the police to state that he was there in that area at the time. Again, Sluggy, you have no idea why Debbie took Jay to the police. You don't know. You weren't there. You've only got Debbie's word to go on it, and Debbie doesn't tell the truth when it comes to Jay. She protects him all the time. If Debbie were telling the truth that Jay weren't involved, there is no way Jay could have been convicted just by standing around in the background while others bashed the living daylights out of Tom Hilton. And where, Sluggy? Where was the appeal? If Debbie's right that Jay just happened to be standing in the area and didn't participate, where's the appeal against his conviction? Why was Debbie not so outraged by Jay being found guilty that she didn't appeal it? I mean, what's going on there? And one other point about this, Sluggy, you've forgotten the mitigation. When it came to mitigation, the person that was representing Jay in that court did not mention Jay's minor role in the attack. There were other representatives in that court that did mention that their client, some of the gang members, had played a significantly minor role in this attack. When it came to Jay Slater's representative did not mention in mitigation Jay's minor role in the attack. That, to a logical mind, tells you, Sluggy, that Jay played slightly more than a minor role. That is the evidence. That is what happened in court. Now, for you to say that you are 100% sure that Jay was not in that area at the time, you can't be. It is more evidence that you are making stuff up, believing stuff without any foundation whatsoever. And I think you've done that the whole time, Slugtardo, in the Jay Slater case, because you're hiding the truth. And your only way of doing that is to make stuff up. You've done it from day one. You'll be doing it for many, many, many months to come, I predict. But some of us, what was Jill Parkinson's phrase? It's not rocket science. Can see right through you every single time. Let's leave it there. Hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. Jan's Views Live, Sunday night. I believe. I believe we're all up for that. See you then.